Ladies and gentlemen, foreign affairs, seen through a lens of affection and appreciation for each island, recognized for what makes it distinct, yet part of a wider whole. Caricom tourism promotion at its best. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it again for Ali Wan for that wonderful piece. We're getting near the end. Ladies and gentlemen, allow us to introduce and to have our next presenter, the Honorable Kamla Persad, Bissessar, Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, to bring her remarks.
Thank you all very much. There was a time, as we welcome today another female leader, President of Suriname, congratulations. There was a time when it was just two of us. First it was me, and then it was Mia. And then it was Mia, and it was me again. And now it's me again.
Yes,
so
she is, guys. Yes, she is.
As we join with our female leaders at this Caricom Heads, I just want to give you a short moment of some light relief. I'm not a great comedian, but I'll try. So thank you for your introduction. Mia, you remember, as Ministers of Education, we would go to schools and give speeches. And so we'd get the introductions there. So one school decided they will not use an adult to introduce me. They would use a little boy. He was just 11 plus, just wrote the exam and went into secondary school. So he comes to the mic and he says, I am not going to make any long, boring speech. My job here is to introduce Kamla. So I'm not making that long, boring speech, but here's the person who will make that speech. Kamla Persad, Bissessar. Prime Minister Drew, thank you for your hospitality, the warmth that we received here in St. Kitts. And you well know it's not my first visit. I had the pleasure to work here with Mia. We were both young budding lawyers then. We are still budding lawyers, but we did work together here in St. Kitts, and I'm very happy of the warmth we received from you, Prime Minister, and your family, and of course the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. Fellow Caricom heads, dignitaries, distinguished guests, I welcome for the first time to a Caricom meeting from one Twin Island Republic to another one here, Trinidad and Tobago, Chief Secretary Farley, the Chief Secretary of the Tobago House Assembly. Please welcome him. For the first time, we have a Tobago representative in the Caricom. So distinguished members all here, and of course, all the visitors who've joined us from the UAE, please welcome Minister Kabi. She's here with her minister. Can we welcome her to St. Kitts? And today, I have to say some things
what the fuck
that
is Farley doing there?
Be good and kind.
Why?
I have to also face the reality of what is happening in my own country, in Trinidad and Tobago. And so I welcome the words of Prime Minister Holness when he spoke of the balanced way that he looked at the Caricom. We all have different pathways to walk, but our destination, our goal, our aim is the same. It's for a better quality of life for the people in our country and for the whole of the region. So, Prime Minister Holness, we thank you. We were very happy with your words, the balanced approach that you took. And of course, we really admired the resilience of the Jamaican people when you weathered that horrible, devastating storm in Jamaica. We all took notice, and we're really admiring what you've transitioned then and what you're still doing now. So Trinidad and Tobago, today we reaffirm our commitment to remain a vested partner in the work of Caricom. But I also like to take an opportunity for a short time to speak openly and constructively for the benefit of all the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Today, it remains very unsettling to me that in October 2022, the then sitting TNT government coordinated the kidnapping of a Trinidad citizen from another Caricom state. He was visiting another Caricom state, and he was kidnapped. Our Supreme Court has ruled that he was kidnapped. He was placed in handcuffs, transported to the airport, and then back to Trinidad. I think an RSS plane was used to transport him. He was kidnapped. And then I was opposition leader.
What the
I wrote to the Caricom Secretariat, that's 2022. 2022. I wrote to the Secretariat of the Caricom asking, what happened?
No,
How
no,
could you have
she's not talking
facilitated
about this.
kidnapping of a TNT citizen? Please let us know what was happening and how it happened. To
Oh,
date,
no.
that was 2022. I have not had a response from the
This
Secretariat.
woman.
So I say to Caricom, that response, non-response, it may be the result of poor management, lax accountability, or most concerning, that one ceases to be recognized by the Secretariat as a member citizen of Caricom when not in government. And so I want to reaffirm that the Caricom should be the voice for all, not just for the governing parties, not just for those in the Caribbean who form government parties. And so I'd ask you, we have to chart a way forward. Yes, we won our elections. Yes, we are the majority parties, all of us here, all the heads. But we were all in opposition once, and we may all be in opposition again. But we must work together for all of our nations, all our citizens, whether they belong to the governing party or whether they belong to the opposing parties. So that, I say, still concerns me. How one of my citizens was kidnapped in another Caricom state, and when I inquired, the Secretariat could not give me an answer up to today. That should never happen. Caricom as an organization should not be misused by anyone to benefit or protect political parties and friends affiliated with the incumbent government. Caricom governments and their political parties who actively involve themselves in the domestic and political affairs of member
No,
states.
she is not doing
The
this.
sister or brother parties cannot then expect
the
that when
fuck
we
is wrong
come
with this
together,
woman?
that we must hug up each other. When in the last election gone, you sent your missives, you sent your people from your party to openly campaign
This is
against
so much- this is
another
so much
political
worse than I
party.
expected.
I'm sorry I have to share this, but it hurt me a lot when I saw what transpired within the last set of elections in the Caricom. So Caricom governments, if we are to hug up each other and cooperate, it cannot be that last week you sent your person down to St. Vincent or to Jamaica or to wherever, or to Guyana. You sent your political persons, not technocrats. You sent them down to campaign. I don't think that is right, because today I will have to face you. We are not red and we are not yellow, we are not blue, we are not green. We are all Caricom persons, and we must give that respect to every single one. And no leader here sitting would want another Caricom head of state to send people to campaign in your domain. That should never happen. So that has led to what I say, unneeded factional divisions and private conflicts between regional leaders and political parties. And of course, it hinders the progress of the Caricom. As we move forward, I congratulate the other speakers before me, and I'm in tune with what you're saying.
Look at me.
So I will keep mine down a bit, because we had a great discourse from Prime Minister Holness as former chair. And I want to say, Trinidad and Tobago, like you, sir,
The divisions you cause, you stupid
respect the
bitch!
sovereign right of Caricom members with respect to your choice for national security for your nation and respect to your choice for foreign policy. We respect that sovereignty, and we expect no less from others. We took very careful note of what happened in the Caricom in 2025 when my government chose to lend support then to the Nicolas Maduro regime. And despite repeated threats against two fellow Caricom members from Venezuela, most of the Caricom stood against the two. Only two were threatened. One was Guyana, still under threat. I openly said that if they touch Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago will be there with you and stand with you. And the other was Trinidad and Tobago. We are threatened, and we are still threatened by Venezuela. And I'll say a little more about that in a moment. So how could a Caricom be a zone of peace when a narco dictator who imprisoned and killed thousands of civilians and opposition members? You will see recently over 300 persons from the opposition in Venezuela have been released. They were in prison because of politics. So how can it be when that regime was threatening violence to two Caricom member states, there was no voice from the Caricom? We were talking about a zone of peace. And
I hate this bitch!
My country is not a zone of peace, and I'll tell you why. Because of the unreliability of the Caricom in the above situation, TNT Guyana, we cannot bind ourselves to the same political ideologies, the same foreign issues,
you're watching
and the
this
same
shit?
security policies of the entire Caricom. That's why I welcome Prime Minister all those words, that we have each our own pathway to walk, depending on what is happening in our country. And so, my friends, I say, going forward, we will work with the Caricom. We were invested in the Caricom. We've been there from day one, and we want to be there after the end and the beginning and in the end. We want to be there with the Caricom. It's very vital. I'm a Caricom child, you know. I lived in Jamaica, as you know, Prime Minister. I studied in Jamaica 14 years.
Fuck this bitch.
I studied there. I lectured at the university in Jamaica. I lived in Barbados. My child was born in Barbados. My son is Bajan. Recently, he was trying to apply to UE to get into UA law school. And when he took his Bajan passport, they said, no. You have to come and bring a TT ID card. Sounds like a joking matter, but a serious matter. May you know that. My son is born in Barbados, and of course Trinidad. So I've had that experience of living and working, Jamaica, Barbados, and of course my own country, Trinidad and Tobago. So
look at how her voice
we will want to have our own
woman.
foreign issues, policies, defend our sovereignty as we see best. And so I come to the elephant that might be in the room. I come to the USA and the cooperation that we had with the USA. Thanks to President Trump, thanks to Secretary Rubio and the US military. I say thank you today for standing firm against narco trafficking, human and arms smuggling originated from Venezuela. That is what we were facing in Trinidad and Tobago. Maybe some of you other islands in the Caribbean, your nations do not have that level of illegal migration and, of course, the crime. So in 2024, crime was being treated as a public health gimmick. It was dubbed a public health issue. It's not a public health issue. Because of the crime, you're not alive to get any public health.
What
you're
the
dead.
ass is this?
That's what the crime is like. So don't talk to me about a zone of peace when I will tell you, Trinidad and Tobago, 1.4 million people. We recorded 623 murders in 1 year, in 2024. And 40% of those murders, they were gang-related, driven by narcotics, by firearms from smuggling from Venezuela, and gangs coming out of Venezuela and mingling and mixing with gangs in Trinidad. In 2025, change of government,
people laughing at her.
change of policy to treat with the drug cartels and the gangs as violent terrorist organizations.
I am embarrassed to be a Trini right now.
Military action by the American military in the Caribbean caused, you know what happened in our country? Caused our murder rate to decrease by 42%. You know what that meant? There were 257 less murders in TNT. I can say thanks again to President Trump, and thanks again to Secretary Rubio, Marco Rubio. I thank them and the US military for the cooperation and what they shared with us for national security matters. Maybe in your islands you don't have the kind of crime we have.
This shit is so much worse than I thought it would be. This is so much worse.
In Trinidad, we were not as fortunate as you in the parliament.
She sounds like an old, bitter old woman.
So some of us,
Just going up
the
there
crime
complaining.
is so bad. I cannot depend on just my military, my protective services, and certainly from you in the Caricom, many of you do not have military or large police services to help us down there. So again, I repeat, in Trinidad there's a saying, who vex loss? But we gained from the help, I'm saying, that military help, and I will welcome them again. So we changed the policy, and we were able to bring those murders down by 42%. As I say, that's 257 less people who would have been dead had we not taken that course of action. So let me finally take this opportunity to sympathize with the government and people of Mexico, as Prime Minister Holness mentioned, with regards to the cartel-fueled mass violence happening there. That could have been Trinidad and Tobago if we did not take the action we did. To partner with the US is not to undermine the Caribbean region, but to defend it. TNT will continue to cooperate with the US in the best interests of our citizens to drive destabilizing and destructive forces out of our country, out of our region, and out of our hemisphere. On the issue of full and free movement, I'll go quickly here. Just a few points. I know we are all committed to full and free movement. I know several Caricom islands are moving forward with that. But in Trinidad and Tobago, again, illegal migration is a big problem. It has been left to flourish not just in TNT, but elsewhere. Currently, Trinbagonian taxpayers, we pay the bills for the tens of thousands of illegal migrants who have come into our country. It has put an enormous strain on our health services, government services, financial resources, and we are working diligently to resolve this illegal immigration crisis that we have. Again, many of you may not have it, but Venezuela is just 7 miles away from us. And we're going through right now to try to identify and do a registration exercise because there are thousands of them who are a drain on the taxpayers of Trinidad and Tobago. So at this time, I will say the greatest respect, Prime Minister Drew. Trinidad and Tobago, we are fully committed in principle to the full and free movement, but we have to deal with the thousands of illegal ones I already have in my country. So I will say, not at this time, but we agree in principle to full and free movement. And then there's the global focus on Cuba, right here at our Caricom. And let me remind me and us, every single leader in this room was elected by a free and fair democratic election. Everyone in our countries. And so I ask, why do some Caricom governments and political parties believe that they and their parties and their supporters should have the right to contest democratic elections to choose them as leaders, but the Cuban citizens have no right to free and fair election? And whilst I talk with you, Prime Minister Holness, I empathize with the people that
gonna get me vexed
Cuba,
now.
but there's a regime that's a dictatorial one, and none of us want that in our country, not one of us. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here today. We were all elected by free and fair elections. And so we cannot advocate for others to live under communism and dictatorship, but we want to live here in our Caricom region under democracy and capitalism. That's an oxymoron, it's a contradiction. For ourselves, we want free democracy, but tell the Cuban people, okay, we feel sorry for you. It can't work. And as you said, Prime Minister Holness, we have to find a mechanism for the humanitarian efforts of the people of Cuba, but at the same time, we cannot, and I will not,
this is a speech written right straight from the
dictatorship
USA.
in Cuba or
Fuck this bitch!
We will not support it. What we do, we support regular, free and fair democratic elections in a multi-party system. All citizens must have equality before the law. There must be the rule of law. There must be majority rule and minority rights. We must have the separation of powers and the checks and balances. We must have accountability and transparency. We must have freedom of expression and association. And for us in Trinidad and Tobago, we must have capitalism. We will not support dictatorships. I turn to Haiti quite briefly. In Haiti,
You can look at her body language. It's like she's forced to do this shit.
For decades we have been saying as
she knows she's doing fuckery.
The Calypsonian Trinidad is sang Haiti, I'm sorry, Haiti, we are sorry,
she's
and
all
we are
nervous.
still sorry decades and decades after. Armed gangs, political collapse, food insecurity
Man, fuck
have
this
converged
woman.
to overwhelm democracy and create a protracted emergency. We in Trinidad and Tobago, we support the United States and Panama's proposed gang suppression force to subdue violent gangs and to help restore order in Haiti. We are committed to sharing the burden with the US and Panama and other willing countries to assist the gang suppression force
this
in
woman
bringing
needs to be
peace
taken out
to
of
Haiti.
power.
We have to come together to help them. In
She is
conclusion, I say,
compromised.
I began by reaffirming Trinidad and Tobago's commitment to Caricom. In that spirit of regional partnership, we warmly invite member states to encourage their nationals to take advantage of the new educational opportunities in Trinidad and Tobago. We have established, we are working on it now, we had built it 10 years ago, it was shut down, the South Campus of the UWI. We welcome all students from Caricom. We want to open it in September in the new academic year. So we welcome
Marco Rubio
Caricom
gave her that fucking
students
speech.
to come to us for that.
This
Those
is
additional
so embarrassing.
spaces at the UWI. And in addition, we have reopened the Cuba Children's Hospital, and we hope to get some help from the UAE. They're here today. We met with them, our delegates met with them for a full opening of that Cuba Children's Hospital, which we open up as well. A state-of-the-art children's hospital we open to all citizens of the Caricom. Please come. We have a campus. Education is a passport out of poverty. Take advantage of that extra campus, and of course, the spaces and the beds at the Cuba Children's Hospital. We look forward
Why is
to
she going to
collective
Caricom and talking about local
cooperation
hospitals that she fucking
whenever
reopened?
and wherever our policies
This useless,
initiatives
useless woman.
align with those of the Caricom. However, as I close,
We
I
need to
say
start rioting
TND
in the
will put
country.
our national interests first. Our citizens will choose our path forward. And so, let us all move beyond words. I had a joke with some of my staff who were here, the famous NATO, no action, talk only. Let's not continue all the talking, and let's what you did for the theme, beyond words, action today for thriving, sustainable Caricom. I thank you very much, and may the good Lord continue to bless each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister Persad Bissessar. Let's hear it for Prime Minister Persad
She is
Bissessar.
a national embarrassment.
Bissessar. Performing
What the fuck is this?
our next act, performing We Is We, the first female to capture our national
Get the
senior
fuck-
Calypso
Yo.
Monarch title, a four-time senior Calypso Monarch, widely known,
No.
Sobriquet, Queen Independent. Here is Caricia Willett to perform her piece.